Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back, and I have a terrific guest for you right now. I am joined by a storyteller, a healer, psychic. Miss Janis Reed is in the beautiful mountains of Western Grayson County in Virginia. Hey, welcome to the show, Janis. Nice to see you.
Nice to have be here. Nice to be here at all. Um, Gosh, it's pretty up here in the mountains today. The sun is shining. You can hear the slight shimmy of the feathers in the trees of the birds trying to stay warm.
Hey,
It's about nothing degrees outside, but we don't have 6 feet of snow like Buffalo, so I'm happy.
oh, yeah, Janice, tell me about what I'm seeing right now, where you're at right now. Where is that? So interesting looking. There's a lot of uh, different textures, and where are you right now?
Welcome to my living room.
Nice. Is
My living room is about 10 by 10, so it looks very spacious, I hope.
Yeah, looks great. It looks is that a fireplace in the back right there?
I have a wood stove.
Stove.
I've got
Oh,
a brick wall behind around wraps around the wood stove.
that's awesome.
Whenever I take in information from a client, like their credit card number or something, this is the actual end of that number. I burn up all of the information people give me that's personal and stick it in the wood fire.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, that's really neat. Hey, so Janice, everyone's like to get to know you. So who is Janice Reed? Who is she?
Boy, we've been trying to figure that out for a long time. But I'll tell you what the lowdown is so far. The current skinny. I'm a storyteller. Whether anybody likes it or not, I'm gonna tell a story on them. I'm also a heyoka. It's a strange little word. I do things backwards. I was selected, lucky me, by the spirits that be to be a heyoka. I literally got hit by lightning, and it hit me about 8 hours straight.
Oh my God.
It was huge. I wish I had been on the outside to see me receiving it. It's
Can
been
you
a
tell me
long
that
time.
story? Can you tell me that? It's so interesting.
Sure, it really is interesting because I didn't know what happened until much later when someone told me.
Okay.
This is one of the ways that spirit works is first they'll zap you and then see if you noticed.
I think you
So
noticed probably, right?
yeah, yeah. I've always been a very sensitive person. I was the family crybaby. You
Okay.
know, everybody knows a crybaby. So sensitive. If you look at me cross-eyed, I go, ah! But I lived out in the plains of Oklahoma, around Norman, and our apartment kind of backed out, opened up into the prairies. When the winds blew, it was like, oh my gosh, it was magical. The prairie going, blowing in the breeze, it was just one of the most beautiful things you ever saw. But because of the expanse that we looked out on, we could see storms coming from miles off. And my kids and I, we're storm lookers.
Me too. I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah, they'll get me up in the middle of the night when they were little. Mom, there's a storm. Let's go watch. So, we scheduled a party one night because way off in the distance, you could see the storm was coming and the weatherman said so. So, okay, tonight we're having a party. The kids were all excited.
Wow.
Let them, they passed out before the storm got really good. But I was working at the law school there at Oklahoma School of Law, Norman, and I had invited a bunch of friends over for the storm. It was a weekend night. There was going to be a good time. I had a little fireplace there too. So everybody gathered and the storm wouldn't come and it wouldn't come and it wouldn't come. My kids finally said, "I'm going to bed. Wake us up when it gets here." And the party people were all the grown ups staying around drinking wine and watching for the storm to come. When it arrived, I had sliding glass doors at the kitchen, and those sliding glass doors on the other side of them was the prairie. Was that was It was a great huge picture window for looking at a storm. When the storm arrived, it came with lightning. It was beautiful. This dark black sky, the smoky clouds coming towards the apartment building where I lived, coming towards us, rolling across the prairie with lightning bolts shooting out everywhere. When the lightning bolt decided to just shoot into my house, it caused the party to temporarily stop
Oh my
and
God.
reassess.
Wow.
These are these are respectable people. I mean, we're not a bunch of hippie drunkards all the time, but they were going to be lawyers and they were teachers and they were people that had sense, I thought. But when the first lightning bolt slipped through the house, everybody kind of, it's an automatic thing. You jump away from it, wonder what you just saw. When the second one came, they would come in through the glass door, hang a sharp left, and shoot down the hallway.
Wow.
They would angle in strange directions and shoot up and down the fireplace chimney. It wasn't regular lightning. These things were coming in bolts about 18 inches long. They were blue balls about the size of my head, a small basketball. I have a big head.
How
They
frequent?
were bam, 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 bam,
Oh
and
my
it went on
God.
till about dawn. It took about 10 minutes for most of the people in my house to clear out. When it was clear it wasn't going to stop, it wasn't an anomaly, it kept coming. So they booked.
Okay.
I was left alone with my children in bed, sleeping, an, a Vietnam veteran, and a poet. Well, the poet was there to protect the veteran, and the veteran was there because there was a war going on. My house was full of big, loud shots of light. He stayed as long as he could to protect me because he's a warrior. When the poet realized what was going on and drug him out of my house, he was beginning to have flashbacks, bless his heart. And with my insistence, the poet took him home.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The bolts of lightning, though, they just kept coming. Those balls and bolts kept coming. It really was like a blue lit war zone.
My God.
Eventually, when the guys were gone, the boys were still asleep. This one lightning bolt shoots down into my house, hangs the corner down to my kids' room, and this bolt goes halfway through the kids' door. When Mama came out and said, "You stay away from my children. You don't go in there. You leave them alone."
Mm-hmm.
The darn thing backed up out of the door, turned around, and shot back down the hallway and into the living room with me. It obeyed. It
Wow.
seemed to obey. It was the weirdest thing I've ever, blowing my mind even talking about it. I laid on the couch and pulled the Afghan up over my nose because, you know, that's going to save the world as a good Afghan. And I watched these bolts of lightning continue. The guys had seen it. It would come into my ear and out my finger, or through the top of my head and out my toes in like sprouts. The lightning had engaged my physical body and was shooting in and out of it, rolling in and out of it like I was the fairway on a fair. Um, there was nothing I could do about it. It tickled as it zipped through me.
No pain?
It wasn't pain, it was shock.
It was a
I,
shock.
I think I was in shock
Yeah.
because this is something that only happens on movies
Yeah.
and they make
This
it
is
up.
like
This is
a
something,
poltergeist or something.
yeah, it happens to other people. It's not what happens to us. It's the things that we hear about from weirdos.
Right. Well,
About dawn, the storms quit and the lightning bolts faded. It had gone about 7 hours all night long. And I just watched these things in and out of my house, not knowing what was going on. Glad that they had left my children alone, worried about the people that had left, what they were going to think. At 8 o'clock, somebody knocked at my door, and there was the veteran. He had come to see if I was alive.
oh,
He looked at me and he took a step back. He said, "My God, you've been in a war zone. Look at you." And so we walked me over to a mirror and I looked at me and I didn't know who I was. It was since that night, everything around me is lit with a different kind of light. It's brighter, it's more intense, life is more intense, smells are stronger. I live in the mountains in Southwest Virginia, but with a good strong eastern breeze, I smell the Atlantic Ocean from here.
how far away is that?
About 340, 385 miles.
Oh my God.
over the mountains.
Wow.
My sensitivities are strong.
When the veteran took you over to the mirror and made you like, hey, look, you look like you've been through a war. What did you see?
I didn't really know who she was.
You
She
didn't
looked like somebody
recognize?
I knew, but it was somebody that I must have known a long time ago because I wasn't, she didn't look like who I had imagined me
Okay.
looking like at that point. We
Were you
didn't know what
confused
had
and stuff?
happened. Well, we did. Everything was brighter, but I had been going through some things. I guess I had been given some hints that it was coming. About a year earlier, blue balls of lightning had followed me around in my car, in my house, and that night was the culmination. Everything was different. It took about 2 weeks. I was walking around bumping into things because just I'm out of sorts, trying to be a mom and an employee and a friend and a person when I was really blinded by the whole world. Everything looked different. I was in a foreign land. So I went with a girlfriend of mine one morning. She had sung at a bar out western Oklahoma and needed to go the next morning to collect her paycheck. So I went with her. This bar is out in the middle of the prairies. It's made of ancient timbers. It was probably built before, well, I know it was built before Oklahoma was a state. Um, it was ancient and it was in the middle of the picturesque rolling prairies. I didn't know where I was, but it was bright, bright sunny. And the little bar in the middle of nowhere, this little block building, was dark inside. We walked in, and sure enough, it was Sunday, 10 o'clock. It was full of people drinking beers because it was, that's what you do out in the reservations.
Hmm.
And she went off to go collect her pay when I stood at the bar and just tried not to be the only white girl inside 200 miles.
Okay.
I was surrounded by these beautiful red skinned people with these gorgeous black, shiny hair. They were so
Mm.
beautiful.
Okay.
Standing at the bar, and the only light in the room comes from the open doorway of this ancient building. It's too hot outside to turn the lights on. It's bright enough with the lights. So I'm looking out the door. Beautiful prairies that's framed by the door, and around the door is dark, so it really looks like a picture. When over the top of the hill comes this little red truck. Put, 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 put. I'm still dazed because of the way I'm seeing things, and I'm wondering if I'm seeing it correctly or not. But this little red truck put, 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 comes over the hill, whirls around, and parks next to my car out in the middle of the parking lot. There are literally miles around, but he parks right next to my car. I had parked away from the building, but the little guy hops out of his car. It looked like some cartoon, bless it. Little red outfit and his dark braids and his dark hat that's sticking up on top of his head. He hops down and he's really short, and he comes around the edge of his truck and he looked. Excuse me. Make you stop, huh? He looked about the 300 yards into the building and he looked at me in my eyes. I'm inside a dark room. He is hundreds of yards away, but he laid eyes and he locked eyes with me and he walked straight toward me. He walked across the parking lot, stopped in the doorway, stomped his feet, looked around and smiled and walked straight up to me. Okay, I'm a white girl. And I'm in the middle of an Indian reservation. I don't look native. Okay, my grandmother was, but my other grandmother wasn't. He walks up and he stands right next to me. So I'm kind of like, I was going to take a step back so I'd give him more room on the bar
Yeah.
to be polite. And he takes a little step closer to me. He says, all right, it's all right. I came to tell you that you're not crazy. I said, excuse me? He said, you're not crazy. You're Heyoka. And I'm real sorry about that. I don't know how you're going to do it, but that's what it is. I just came to tell you, good luck with that.
Oh my God.
And he looks at the room full of people and he said, y'all hear that? And they raised their beer cups at me and laughed and hurrahed and cheered me. And like I had won a prize. And I'm thinking, what kind of nasty white woman name did he just
Yeah,
call?
yeah. You must have been wondering what
To
that
be
meant.
so all the guys cheering me on, but he looks at me and he says, hold on a second. Let me go get you something. Well, my girlfriend had come back from the back with her paycheck, and she says, what's going on? I said, I don't know. That man just called me a name. I don't even know what it means, but he said to wait a minute. She said, well, okay, let's wait then. Because she knew more about the culture than I did, having lived there for so much longer.
Okay.
So we waited. This guy goes out to his truck and comes back in with a crinkly old paper bag. You might be old enough to remember how small the tiny little brown paper bags could be at some point.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Pardon me.
It's okay.
Goodness. I'm getting warm talking about.
Oh dear, are you okay?
I am.
Okay.
What happens when I start talking about this, the energy starts to run through my body again,
Oh wow.
and I get very hot again. It's as if the lightning is still close by. So I walked into this bar. I want to tell you about this white chick walks into an Indian bar on a Sunday morning. Okay, that's a good joke. And this cute little red guy comes in, all full of wrinkles, and he says, no, 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 you're not crazy. You're Heyoka. Well, how did he know I was thinking I was crazy? But he goes
What
out
is a
to,
Hyoka?
well, I still didn't know.
Okay.
He goes out to his truck and he brings in this little tiny paper sack and he says, you're going to need this. And he gave me a little tiny, it's a turquoise piece. He said, you're going to need this to cool the fires inside of you. You notice I'm coughing because I'm hot.
Yeah.
So you're going to need this to cool the fires inside of you. And I think it'll help, but I don't know.
I don't know how you're going to do it. That's what he said,
Good
right?
luck. And I'm still not knowing what it is that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So he gives my friend one and he gives me one and he wishes me really luck and he looks at me sincerely. I wish you luck. And he turns around to walk out the bar. He didn't order anything. He just came in to talk to me. As he turns around, he looks towards the ceiling and he says, oh, Grace Spirit, you sure can pick them. I hope I hope she survives. She's a white girl and I'm a red man and it's hard for me. And that was all I knew about a Heyoka, was that somehow he was one and I was one, but what was one? It
Yeah.
took years to discover the meaning of that word. That word is a Lakota word used among the Lakota. It isn't a word white people even know exists, mostly. I had never heard of it. Heyoka, it means I'm crazy.
Oh no.
It does. The Heyoka is crazy in a good way. That lightning bolts that came into my house that acted so strangely, turns out, were not lightning bolts. They were thunder beings. Maybe you've heard stories of the thunder beings or the thunderbird, this great, huge bird that the Indians know carry information from one place to another.
That's so neat.
I bring information from spirit to the planet. I'm now a mouthpiece. Heyoka is not like a shaman. It's not quite like a medicine man. It's not quite like a doctor or a scientist. It's sort of all of those smushed together. And then there's some other stuff too. But as of now, it's been 40 years. As of now, so far, if someone comes to me in need of assistance, I am able to give it or tell them how they can find it. I have not found what I cannot do if it is in service to Great Spirit. And so I offer myself up to do readings, act like a psychic, talk to people, tell them their story. What the thunder beings have done for me, they've done different things for other people who have also been chosen by the thunder beings. This is not something that I would have chosen for myself. It's certainly not something I'd choose for somebody else. It's not comfortable. It's not very likable. Because I am unable to speak a lie, the truth can be a hurtful thing when
Oh,
you're not expecting it. Because I'm Heyoka, I do things backwards. When I finally, years later, after I finally figured out how to make that work for me, currently, when I do a reading for someone, when I tell them their story, I ask them to write down what they want to know about and then stick it somewhere private. That's probably a client right now trying to call in, make an appointment.
mm-hmm.
But I, forgive me, the phone's going to
That's
ring.
okay.
Write it down, stick it away. Don't tell me what they want to know about. When our appointment time comes, I say, hello, how you doing? Are you ready for this? And I tell them their story. I tell them the story without any knowledge or understanding of what it is they want to know from me. I don't know if they want to know if their kid's going to have 6 teeth. I don't know if they want to buy a house, they want a divorce. I have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what their issue is. But I'll tell them the story and it provides their answers. To my surprise, I've given out names, addresses, phone numbers, dollar amounts without my knowing their issue.
Wow.
When I finish giving them their story, I say, okay, now you tell me what the heck did that mean? Because all I know is the answer. I have no idea what the question is. And that's why I have them write it down. Most of the people are so blown away by all the information that comes. It's not a cryptic answer. I mean, I tell a full blown story. It takes 6 chapters and 2 cups of tea. Then, when I'm finished, they tell me what their issue was, what the question was. Mostly, they've already figured out, they know what the answer is, they know how to use it, but we'll talk more and get them to understand how to utilize the information that they've gathered. In this way, I answer their question without knowing their question,
Mm-hmm.
and they can be sure that the answers they've gotten have come from spirit rather than some crazy woman's ego and opinion.
Wow.
And for that, I charge $150.
Wow, it's well worth it.
It is. It's my mother said I don't charge enough. She heard about some of the other more well-known psychic people, and apparently John Edwards has got nothing on me, according to my mom. So, but I simply tune in and I let go, and I give the answer. I do a lot of research first. I'll dream for the person the night before. I don't take money and do the reading at the same time because I need time to collect the information. So I'll take money and we'll set an appointment up. And a few days later, I'll call you up and I'll tell you your story. And then I will demand you tell me why. And we'll work it out how it best works for you to understand how to use the information you just got.
Wow.
It's really empowering for someone because instead of being told the answer, they realize the answer. And
By
that makes
themselves, kind of after what
right.
they heard from you.
That makes it powerful. That's their answer. I don't want to take the power from people. I want people to understand everybody has this power. My goal is to bring the happy back to the world.
It's awesome.
Yeah, being happy means that you can trust your own decisions. You can trust that you'll make the right choice. So by working with me in the oddball backward way that I do it, people have an opportunity to learn for themselves just how smart and on the nose they are.
Wow. That's incredible.
I don't think it's fair for me to know everything and just keep all the secrets to myself.
Oh my God, Janice Reed, what a great guest. I could talk to you forever, but we're out of time here. So let me give you the last word here. That was such a great appearance. Um,
This is why I
speaking,
live in the mountains and hide.
no, that's so. Man, I'll be thinking about that one, trying to wrap my head around that the whole day. But Janice, let me give you the last word. Anything you want to leave the audience with, and then let us know how to get a hold of you, please.
Yes, yes, yes. I want to leave you with that. I'm on an email right now. I'm working on websites and things. Because of where I live, I don't have a lot of toys and trinkets like this to play with. So I'm learning how just for you. Contact me now by emailing me, goddessjanice@hotmail.com. Spell all one letters, all little letters, all the way you want to do it. GODDESS My name is Janis. Goddess Janis at hotmail.com. Send me a note. We'll get together and I'll tell you a story.
That is awesome. Wow. Janis, Reed, thank you so much. Can't wait to hear what you got to say next. And everybody else, we'll be right back. Stay right there. Thank you, Janis.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.